Welcome back to Transfer Talk. It's still here, the new improved Transfer Talk. No uncooked hot dog, which is what you called Joe last week. Instead, we have the
bulldog.
The bulldog himself, Dougie Critchley, the bulldog. How are you doing, Diggs?
I'm good. Yeah, there's lots of comments last week about Joe's height.
Yeah.
He's never actually looked so small in the video. I didn't really take that in, but yeah, I'm a slightly taller Boulder version.
He is a pathetic human, it is true. All right, let's remind you how it all works. We have our rumour mill here, and what we want to do in Transfer Talk is debunk some of the wildest rumours out there. We have love it, hate it, clickbait, nailed on. You'll see we've increased the font size so you at home can follow what's going on. And we'll kick off by reviewing last week's transfers and gossip. Emi Martinez to Inter Milan. I think we can just get rid of that altogether. It's not happening. See you later, Emi. Kudus, do you reckon that? Any movement on that?
I think it's becoming less likely.
Yeah, budget down there a little bit. A lot of outgoings is what some Arsenal fans are saying for that to get over the line. Amrabat, I'm not sure about that.
Again,
So
it's gone a bit quiet, hasn't it? They need Fred, maybe McTominay to leave as well.
Yeah.
I actually might tip it over just to here.
Oh my goodness, big movements from Amrabat this week. I don't know why I struggle with that name so much. Okay, I think Gallagher, I think we can leave it there for now. I think Conor Gallagher could go to West Ham at some point.
A lot of West Ham fans worried by the lack of progress on this Declan Rice replacement so far.
Really? Okay. Do you want to move it a little bit? Should we
Maybe
move it
just
across?
a tad. Maybe just a tad.
West Ham fans, let us know how confident you're feeling about that below. David Raya to Bayern Munich. I think this could be the biggest mover of the week.
It's gone, I think.
You think it's gone?
Well, as in, they only offered him a loan move. He doesn't want a loan move. He's apparently going to go to Arsenal.
I think stick it here. I reckon stick it
alongside Kudos.
Stick it, yeah. Kudos, yeah. In it goes there. Kudus is staying there.
Bloody Kudos.
And then we get to Kyle Walker. I think we can leave that there for now. It could happen. And with that, let's fly into this week's gossip and rumours. We'll start with the Bayern Munich team because Harry Kane, it's the big story of the week. Is Harry Kane going to get that move to Bayern Munich over the line? Where are you putting this?
I really like it as a move. I like it for him. I like it for Bayern Munich. They need him. So I'm going very high on the love it scale. And I'm actually moving it to more and more nailed on. I think the fact that the talks are still going on makes me think that it hasn't been outright rejected just yet. I'm probably going to put it around here. Daniel Levy, notoriously tough negotiator. He's not going to leave this without a fight. He's going to want a £100 million deal. I suspect if they offered around 85 to 90 million pounds, I think he'd be mad to turn it down. So I'm putting him around there.
So yeah, this is obviously Bild have reported that Marco Nepper, I think one of the Bayern Munich technical directors, is in London negotiating with Levy. It's well known now that they're over here trying to thrash out a deal. They said, 20 million discrepancy?
2025, yeah.
Yeah, which is quite a lot. I feel like it might be a bit further on.
Really?
I don't know. I just feel as if this has rumbled on for so long now this summer, and I think they could go to the end here because it'd be such a big signing to get over the line. I think just adjust it a little bit because talks are happening.
So you think the fact that this has rumbled on makes it more and more likely, which I tend to agree with, but it's leaving Spurs less and less time to get those replacements in as well. And with their difficulties of landing centre-backs, I feel like they might be leaving themselves so much to do. And the Premier League season restarts next weekend.
Diggs, as our humble guest, if you would like to move it back, if you'd like to return it to its...
Who am I to come onto your show and start moving it around? Let's keep him there. Let's keep him there.
Harry Kane.
We'd also like it to be done because it was very boring.
Oh my God, that'd be so fun. 280 goals for Spurs. I mean, what a player. We love that. All right, moving on next, we're going to go to...
Victor Osimhen.
All right, moving on next, we're going to go to Victor Osimhen. What's the song? Do you know how the song goes?
Osimhen, it's something like that.
The people of Saudi Arabia could be singing that next season.
They could.
Yeah, this is the news that came in. So this was originally being reported by L'Equipe that they were Al-Hilal were looking at Victor Osimhen for 120 million euros originally. It sounds like De Laurentiis will accept 150 minimum maybe. Talks of a 52 million euro a year salary, which is frankly absurd. We know they've got the money, Dukes. It's whether or not he wants to go. I personally despise this transfer.
Yeah, I don't like it, given that the fact that, this summer he's been so widely talked about for a number of moves. I'm actually going to put it, it's not totally clickbait, is it? Because it's being reported by very reputable sources. But in terms of the hate it scale, this is a guy at the top of his game, the most talked about forward in world football right now, probably alongside Harry Kane. 24 years old, had an amazing season last year. You just don't want someone of that age and that potential to be spending some time in Saudi Arabia at the beginning of their career. So I don't like it from his perspective. Just stay at Napoli.
What do you make of the rumours, the discussion that oh, this is what the Premier League did when they had all their money sort of 30 years ago over the course of that time. What do you make of that in terms of the Saudi Arabia argument for taking players like Osimhen?
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously ambitious. You know, that's completely fair enough. There's a lot of ethical questions raised by the fact that the state is owning these clubs, whereas, you know, you might have issues with the British government or the American government in the past, but they aren't owning these clubs. So the reputation of these clubs is directly attached to the reputation of the Saudi Arabian state. So, you know, there's loads of ethical questions that are rightly brought up around these transfers and shouldn't just be shoved to the background.
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, it would be devastating to see him leave Europe this soon. 26 goals as Napoli won Serie A last season. Just quickly, talk of Kvicha Kvaratskhelia to Arsenal. We don't have a sticker for him this week as the budget ran out. But if we did, where would you be putting that on the board of truth?
Quite high up here, I think. Quite high up in the clickbait but love it area.
Clickbait, but
I love to see Kvicha one day in the Premier League. Look, it's probably not Arsenal's maximum need. They probably need a number 9 before they need a left winger because they've got Emile Smith-Rowe, you know, they've got Trossard, and of course they've got Gabby Martinelli. So I don't, you know, see it as an absolutely necessary one.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that Napoli are going to consider selling him, you know, this summer, given it was only a debut season last year. Looks like they could get £100 million plus if he repeats that next year as well.
I agree, and especially if Big Vic decides to take that Saudi money and goes there. But yeah, Victor, please stick around for another season at the very least. All right, next player. I think we've got Michael Olise.
We do indeed.
And this comes in from Sam Lee at The Athletic. Very reputable. So you can be assured that it's sort of closer to the kind of nailed-on section of the board. And this is that Manchester City want him as a replacement for Mahrez. They're not willing to pay more than £50 million, which is where I think Crystal Palace could maybe, play a bit hardball here. Where are you putting it on the board?
I really like it, so it's definitely in the positive area. Look, I think as a player, there's no one probably more similar to Riyad Mahrez in world football. The way they play, their first touch, that sort of languid playing style. He's beautiful to watch. I absolutely love watching him. Does have a minor injury at the moment, which might affect this, but I think the difficulty is that Palace just don't really have any need to sell. They've just lost Zaha. They need Michael Olise. They need Eze next season if they want to push on. And I don't think they're going to accept £50 million. I don't think City are going to go above that. So that's why I just don't think it's that nailed on as it stands.
Yeah, it's so interesting what you say about, like, statistically how much he matches up. Mahrez averaged 2.4 chances created per 90 last season. Olise at 2.3. Shots was 2 for the Algerian, 1.7 for Olise. It would be quite a move. It's quite a leap to go from playing for Crystal Palace, who we did see play a bit more of an expansive style of football last year, to slot in at that Manchester City side, where I think he would get minutes, in all honesty, given the kind of the departures this year. I think that is quite a big step up for him. Do you reckon he's got it in him to be that guy for City?
I think he potentially does. Look, he's only 21. You know, he looks very, very good for a mid-table Premier League side. There's definitely high potential there. I think it's more nailed on if Bernardo Silva leaves as well, and we're still waiting for clarification on that. Then they really do need right-wing depth. But there's been Pep talking this week about whether they need a winger or whether they need an inside player. I imagine his future's also tied up on whether Cole Palmer goes on loan.
Yeah,
Apparently Pep has just brought back his assistant that used to get along really well with Cole Palmer. So it's very much tied into the future of other players. Michael Olise for £50 million I think would be a brilliant signing. I just think that injury and the Palace's lack of need to sell might count against this one.
I'm just gonna move it up a little bit.
Okay.
I'm just going to move it up a little bit. I do love it. So it would be fun. It is one of the, sort of the great players of the Premier League at the moment. All right, so far looking good. Let's move on to our next player, which is Romeo Lavia to Liverpool. Yes, this one's been talked about for quite a while. Now, where are you going to put it? Put it on straight away just before we get into the gossip. Where do you think this is going to be? Wow, here we go.
I think it's nailed on.
Dougie Critchley has spoken. It's happening.
I actually think it's nailed on. I think, you know, Liverpool, the situation, Fabinho having left, Henderson leaving, they've already had one bid rejected, They know the price tag. It looks like it's £50 million. I don't love it at that fee, given the fact he's just been relegated. He's obviously a super promising player. That's why he's at the bottom of the love it scale. But it feels like it's going to happen.
I agree with you. I mean, this is the Times reporting that Liverpool are going to come in for a second bid. 38 million rejected, as you say. 50 million is what they're looking for. I mean, it's a lot of money for
It's a lot.
I was saying they're not really a championship club. You correctly pointed out that Southampton are a championship club.
Well, they are literally a championship club, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm wrong on that one. So, yeah, I do agree. This does look like it's going to happen. That Fabinho and Henderson money going straight into Lavia, which, I mean, that's just a win-win situation, in all honesty, for Liverpool. I mean, the only thing I'd say is, I mean, stats-wise, really fun, like good tackle numbers, great block numbers. This is playing in a team where Southampton were had a lot of opposition action in their half last season. Next year with Liverpool, they're going to be more expansive. They're going to be pushing forward a lot more. Do you think with sort of more responsibility to be a rounded player that he might get caught out a little bit, or do you think that he's that good that he could step up and make the grade?
Yeah, I think they're quite, him and Fabinho are quite different profile of players. I'd say Fabinho is more in that sort of destroyer, keep it tidy mode, whereas Lavia, the thing that pops most about him is probably his dribbles and his dribble completion. Look, he's very good in tight spaces. He's very good at breaking the press. Not really Fabinho's game in the same way. Fabinho would probably pass around the press, and he can dribble occasionally, but Lavia does feel like a different profile. And there's a lot of new names to bed into this midfield as well. Are we going to see Dominic Szoboszlai on the right-hand side? Are we going to see a combination of McAllister or maybe Curtis Jones on the left-hand side? And Thiago there as well. So there's a whole new midfield, potentially, and it just feels like it's slightly undermined what could have been a nice improvement from Liverpool. I still think they'll get top 4, but at the moment, I'm saying 4th.
Yeah, I think 4th's a good bet. Liverpool fans, let us know how you feel about this transfer. As we say, we think it's happening. We think it might be happening
nailed on
very soon. The most nailed on transfer on the board so far, which I'm quite liking. All right.
Could look like idiots next week.
Yeah, it'll definitely collapse in some way. Okay, now to one of the big ones. The one you've been waiting for. Harry Maguire to West Ham United. Is it going to happen? We've heard rumours, £20 million. That came from David Ornstein himself, the GOAT of transfer news. It looks like they want 40. Joe Tomlinson saying that he would actually keep him. He's a perfectly reasonable 4th choice centre-back, which I actually completely stand by and agree. And when you look at his stats as well, like 3 clearances, aerial wins the 90, 4 clearances, blocks. Like, he is still a good defender, and people just like to give him grief. I really don't respect what Onana did. The fact that that's become a headline in itself, give the guy a break, in all honesty. In terms of him going to West Ham United, the team that cannot sign anyone this window, where are you putting it, Dukes?
I really like it from Maguire's perspective. I like it from West Ham's perspective. He is easily good enough. I just don't think Man United are going to sell him. So I'm putting him on the unlikely. I don't think it's clickbait either, because it's very good sources, but it just doesn't feel nailed on in the slightest, because I think Man United have other priorities. Look, if they get rid of the likes of Fred, McTominay, then our old friend Sofian Amrabat comes into play. Maguire, I don't think those rumours of centre-backs have now gone a bit quiet. Jurriën Timber went to Arsenal, of course. Disasi's gone to Chelsea. So it doesn't feel like they're in the market to sell Maguire right now. So I think it's quite unlikely. But I'd love to see it from his perspective. Needs to get regular first-team football ahead of what will probably be his final England tournament next summer. And I don't know whether he'll necessarily be picked unless he's playing regularly. He
reportedly wants to play for a bigger club than West Ham United. At this point in time, Europa League next season, still a staple of the English game, as it were. Do you think Maguire's in a position to how it's stalled in that way?
I think West Ham's a big enough club for him. I am also quite surprised that a club like Spurs aren't looking at him. They've struggled to sign Tapsoba, they've struggled to sign Mickey van der Ven. Now Ten Hag's playing him on the right-hand side of a back 4, but of course he made his name, on the left of a back 4. He also plays for England on the left of a back 3. So he'd be very comfortable for Spurs, and I think he's the right level of player for Spurs right now as they look to re-establish themselves as a potential top 4 force over the next few years, although that'll be tied into Harry Kane. So I'm surprised Spurs aren't looking at him, but definitely go to West Ham. I think he'd be awesome at West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, they said 20 million, they want 40. If they bid 30 million, bear in mind, he's a 30-year-old player at the moment, only played 16 times in the league last season, 8 starts. If they bid 30, where would you be tempted to put it on the board, do you think?
I'm moving it along. For 30, I still don't think they are nailed on to accept it, but I'm going to go, I'll put it level with Amrabat, if they could be tied, like this.
Just put it on him, put it on him. Look at that, side by side. All right, let's put it back to where it was just for now, but let's keep a track on this transfer, because I do think that West Ham will go in for him again. Apparently David Moyes is really keen on him. I mean, it's exactly the kind of player that West Ham are going for. Apparently, he's looking for more like established British names to get into that squad, because after some of the gambles that they've taken, Scamacca, who's not on the board this week, could it be Roma, could it be Inter next week?
It feels nailed on to leave.
Yeah, it does feel nailed on to leave. So it looks like David Moyes wants to go back to kind of the tried and
British
tested,
core.
The British core. West Ham, the Bulldogs themselves.
I've also heard Harry Maguire loves jelly deals. So
yeah,
perfect.
there we go. That's some more gossip for you on the show right here. All right, let's go to our final transfer, and that is...
There's been another bit of... Richard did a video half an hour ago about Lukaku, and Juventus want something like £35 million and Lukaku
for Vlahovic.
Right. Okay. All right, let's go to our final piece of gossip today to go on to the rumour mill of truths, and that is Romelu Lukaku. The man that can't get a move this year. Poor bloke. I mean, this is coming out from Fabrizio Romano that apparently There could be talk of a swap deal with Dusan Vlahovic at Juventus. But Fabrizio has just said that what they're looking for is 35 million euros plus Lukaku for Dusan Vlahovic. Interesting. Where are you going to put it first off? In terms of, let's think about this from Juventus' perspective.
Yeah.
Getting 35 million euros plus Lukaku, I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. But where would, for Juventus, where would you be putting this move? You think it's nailed on?
I think it's quite nailed on, yeah.
35 million plus Vlahovic?
Yeah.
And you don't like
I can
it?
easily see Chelsea
And you
doing
don't like it?
No, I don't really like it. He's 30 years old. Vlahovic is 23. He's got a bad injury record. I mean, Vlahovic had his injury issues last year as well. But Lukaku, we've seen over the last 18 months, he's gone way off the boil. Look, there was moments last season where he looked close to back to his best around sort of February to May time, then had a shocker in the Champions League final. He's made a lot of enemies this summer. He should have probably ended up at Inter Milan if he hadn't started openly flirting with Juve. And this is a guy whose career is slightly petering out. They spent 75 million euros on Vlahovic and they're willing to swap him 18 months later for a guy who's 7 years older.
Do you not think that says something about Vlahovic as a forward?
I think it says something about their finances. I think they need the financial influx.
The fact that Lukaku does score goals in Serie A, he's proven in that division.
Vlahovic.
He was great last season. He hasn't scored as many as you'd expect him to at this point in
He
time.
had injuries last year.
Vlahovic's days are numbered either way in a Juventus shirt. He's never going to be that guy for the next 7 years. Do you not think it's get a proven guy through the door? I know I agree with most of the sentiments that you're saying about him, but do you not think, given the way that he plays, only 30 for Lukaku, you could see him doing it for another 4 or 5 years in the mould that he produces right now. And he hasn't got any choice. Like, the next club he goes to, it has to work out, doesn't it?
No, I agree. But he's been playing football at the top level since he was 16. I don't think his body's going to hold up as well as other 30-year-olds. I can't see him being a Benzema or a Lewandowski going deep into his 30s at the same level. Look, I've got nothing against the guy, but I think he's on extremely high wages, probably higher than Vlahovic, and he's 7 years older. I just don't know how you can love it from a Juve perspective. Who would I back to score more goals in Serie A next season? Potentially Lukaku, but in 2-3 years' time, who's going to be a better player? Vlahovic. And they could still sell Vlahovic in 2-3 years' time because hopefully he would have retained some value. So I just think from Juve's perspective, they're the losers of this deal.
Okay. You've swayed me with your argument. I do think, just because I don't think Chelsea are going to pay 35 million, well, I mean, they might do, won't they? They do seem to
when
pay.
Bowley gets something in his head, you know?
I'm going to slightly move it over a little bit.
You just don't think it's nailed on?
I'm going to move it there. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine by me.
So I do like it a bit more. I still think that he is a good striker.
Beforehand you were thinking initially around here.
I thought you loved this. I thought this was definitely here.
Yeah, not for me.
All right, guys, where would you be putting Lukaku? Let us know. One quick look over our ball, the rumour mill once more, Dougie. Anywhere else that you want to move? Any other feelings?
Not particularly. I mean, I think we might see the end of these two by next week as well, so we can potentially get rid of them. Michael Olise, you'd expect to come to a head in the next 10 days as well, whether City are prioritising another midfielder or whether they go for an out-and-out right winger. Not that many great options on the right wing at the moment. I was thinking someone like Rodrigo would obviously be ideal. Obviously, Real Madrid aren't going to let him go. Chuck Veze's gone to Milan, not good options there. Maybe someone like Nico Williams, maybe someone like Takefusa Kubo as well. But again, right wing is a real dearth of quality. So Olise feels like quite a good option for City. But this is the one that's going to really interest me over the next few days. Because I think there's going to be some wild takes about Vlahovic and Lukaku. And I can't wait to see what side everyone drops.
Absolutely true. I'm going to do one thing. I'm just going to move this even further down because we don't want Osimhen to leave.
No.
We want Osimhen to stay, if that's more of a sign. Okay. The rumour mill is filling up after week 2, and we will be back for the rest of the transfer window. Let us know what you think of all our rumours and where we put them upon the board. And yeah, let us know whatever changes you might want to see to the show, because we're always open to ideas. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to Football Daily if you haven't already. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.